Hey friends, Rob here. Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk to you about something absolutely awesome. You guys know I love live streaming. It's one of the ways that I make a lot of money, right? I live stream all the time and I share with you long videos on how to do it. So grab some popcorn. I want to talk about OBSBOT talent. Goodness, there's so many things to talk about with it. We got to figure out where to begin. And I think it starts with that popcorn. Go grab some and soda, sit down. We're going to jump into this. I've got a lot to talk about. Now, I want to tell you a couple of things. This review I actually did in a different kind of partnership with OBSBOT. Yeah, they even sent me over all this information they want me to talk about. They want me to make a review. I've been using this for over 2 months to live stream with and uses my field management production. And I've got to tell you, I've got a lot of great things to say about it. And most of them have nothing to do with this marketing garbage, right? It's great to know, but the reality is I've been using it and I can't wait to share with you all the ways it works well. Now, nothing's perfect, right? So, because nothing's perfect, I do have some things that we got to talk about a little bit later. Interestingly enough, I've already reported these to the team, and the firmware that I'm currently using, I should say, it's already been updated and fixed. This is firmware that you're going to get before anybody else does, because I've been testing it and finding these things. Now, interestingly enough, I've got about 8 things, maybe 7, that are things I wish were different, and my pain points, you might want to call it, things that that OBSBOT would need to fix. Only 2 of them were actually things related to how the unit functions. Think about that. Out of the gate, this device, Talent, was ready to go for me to stream on location at weddings and live bands. Wow. Okay, so good job, OBSBOT and team. Thank you, Zoe, for letting me be a part of it. And let's jump into it. What is this thing? OBSBOT Talent allows you to switch between local videos, background music, audio files, PNGs, JPEGs, PDFs. It allows you to use NDI connections to find wireless cameras. Does anybody know about this little guy? Little tail air right here is so cute, right? It works great. It works with 3, 4, 5 of them. You can just connect them over NDI with Wi-Fi, and next thing you know, boom. Now, if you would like to have a more reliable connection than Wi-Fi, we've got an Ethernet adapter in here. So you can just plug it into your regular house rig and connect these guys with the power over Ethernet adapter to the USB-C port that you can get as an addition. And then you're controlling those pan, tilt, zoom in real time with 0 latency. Now, we talked earlier about some pain points. One of the very first things I did 2 months ago when I started using this and testing it was I tried the Wi-Fi NDI connection. And of course, it connected fine and it streamed fine. But I did find that sometimes there was some buffering between switching between 3 NDI cameras or 1 or more NDI cameras and an HDMI source. I want to tell you what, within 24 hours after submitting that bug, OBSBOT had already corrected the issue. So now there is no buffering anymore between when you switch with them. And you'll get to see that later on in the video as I'm switching between cameras, NDI cameras, and HDMI cameras. Now, it gets more than that because we can do title generation on here as well. Title generation is so very important to getting your message across. And because it's so important, there's a whole panel dedicated directly to it, just through going over to edit. And I'll bring some stuff on screen right now so that you can see. With title generation, you can do everything from the creation of titles, adding fonts, changing the theme, colors, size, dock, and how it animates. It's really very cool. There are a couple other things about Talent that stuck out before I get into the specs part so that you can know exactly what it can do. And the first one was how bright the screen actually is. I was concerned. One of the things that I wrote down on my pain points was, hey, at 350 nits, I don't think that we'll be able to see this very well outside in the bright sunlight. Interestingly enough, that proved to not be as much of a problem as I thought it had been. They do provide a sun shield, but the reality is that even though it's 350 nits, that AMOLED screen, when I was using it with my camcorders in the configuration, as you see right here, just with my gimbal and my other camcorders, I was able to see it very well, especially as compared to the screen on my camcorders, which is only a 3.5-inch screen. So I was able to see them very well, and it works in the sun. Of course, brighter would always be better, but I found no issues there with being able to see it. Now, is the screen reflective? Yes, you will have to do with some reflectivity because it's a glass screen, capacitive touchscreen, of course, but it's extremely responsive, and I found that it worked really well. Another thing that I liked about it right off the box was how easy it is to use and navigate. I want to just share with you something. There are many things here that actually work very well, but the first one is just the integrated support. Everything from scrolling down, from the top down to get to your general settings, your quick settings. This very much feels like using a cell phone in order to stream. This has been one of the issues that people have with streaming, specifically on devices like this, not having physical buttons, making it difficult to find and tap and touch the particular thing that you want to touch when you want to touch it. Well, I have not found that to be a particular issue. This is extremely responsive, it works very well, and I like it quite a bit. Not only that, I just think that it's a really nice small package. Now, I got something here I want to share with you. One of my favorite devices in the whole wide world, yeah, there we go, is right here, is the Atomos Ninja. This is the Ninja 5. I absolutely love this device. Great. One of the things I like about it are NPF batteries and onboard storage that I can just plug in and unplug. I think it's great, 1,000-nit screen, all that other stuff. Small, compact, feels great, lots of features. Do you see a resemblance? Now, I'm not saying that OBSBOT copied this at all. What I'm saying is that the form factor of that 5.5-inch screen is excellent for a mobile, do-it-all, one-man band or director's monitor kind of setup. On-camera director's monitor kind of setup. So I really like that 5.5-inch screen, and because of that little 5.5-inch screen, did you see this? Check this out, batteries on the back. These aren't just any batteries either. These are NPF batteries, right? So you can get an 1100 or whatever milliwatt. Which one is this one? This one's the 65.5 watt hour, the 8,800 milliwatt or milliamps right there. This thing lasts forever. A couple of these, I've gotten 7 hours on these two, and because they're hot swappable just like that, you're good to go. I think it's absolutely amazing. So let's talk about the specs for just a moment. When we look at the device, it's really got a 5.44-inch screen. It's got a pixel density of around, 405 pixels per inch, which is really great. And it's got a 6,000:1 contrast ratio. That's probably why that 350 nit looks so good outdoors. It's because the contrast ratio is very high, meaning that we get nice blacks. And that's because of the AMOLED screen. There's a couple other things here that are really nice to know about it. Number one, we can actually input many different resolutions. 4K 60 can come, any different resolution that you want from 4K 60 and below can come into OBSBOT Talent and then be converted through the onboard encoder out to 1080p 60 as you're streaming. Now this is a 1080p 60 streaming encoder, and you can encode and stream at whatever bit rate that you choose up to about 62 megabits, which is extremely high. Now, YouTube specifically will have its own guidelines under its best practices. If you're streaming 1080p 60, you're probably going to want to be around 6 to 10 megabits per second upload. But the ability to stream in that high of a rate has less to do with streaming in 1080p and more to do with what happens when you press the record button. Now, this unit is capable of onboard recordings and recordings out via the USB-C port. Now, any of the USB ports can be used to add additional devices for recording or for live streaming, such as webcams or even HDMI converters like the Elgato, stuff like that, USB to HDMI. Any one of them will do it. And we've got a USB here, we got a USB there, and we've got a USB-C under here. So we've got 2 HDMI ports, 2 USB ports, and 1 USB-C port, plus an SD card port, which we can do a lot of stuff with. And because of that, the device has quite a bit of power built into it. Using it over the past 2 months has been basically frictionless, right? It's just been smooth operations. Have I had to turn it off anytime while I've been streaming in order to reset it? No. Have I had any resets or reboots? No. Have I had any strange operations of HDMI or NDI connections popping up and disappearing? Yes. And that has to do with what I talked about earlier, the NDI latency over Wi-Fi buffering between 2 or 3 different cameras when using an HDMI source. But guys, you and I recognize, especially those that have been live streaming for a while, NDI over Wi-Fi requires a very robust Wi-Fi network. Part of the buffering could have been due to the Wi-Fi network, but also part of the buffering could be due to optimizations. In any event, that issue that was encountered has already been fixed by the talent team. So, no, I have to say, as a standpoint for a product release that's getting ready to come up, for your $1,100, $1,099, you should not experience those types of issues. Now, here's a couple things I'd like to share with you right now. Here's a pro tip. And this is a pro tip that I'm sharing with you because it took me forever to figure it out, and I had to ask the talent team. Of course, I was using it without a full-featured manual at the time because I had not completed writing it yet. But let's say I wanted to delete this video. If I tap on it and hold it, the delete option is grayed out. You cannot delete any active video or active slide or active scene. That's important to know. If you don't know that, you will drive yourself crazy. So if I wanted to delete that video, I would need to switch off of it first and then tap and hold. Now delete is open. I'm not going to delete it right now because I want to keep it here for later, but you can only delete items that are not currently active. Well, let me tell you what. It makes a lot of sense now when I'm thinking about it, but it frustrated me to no end when I started using it, to the event that when I was creating different scenes and shows, I created all different kinds of shows because I could not delete the different scenes. And the problem was I was trying to delete the scene that was active while it was active. And that kind of makes sense. If you wanted to delete this, if you weren't careful, you would accidentally switch to it. So the pro tip is tap and hold, then delete. Now, you can of course go in and edit everything from there. I'm not going to do that right now, but you get the point. There was something else that I had to figure out in the user interface. And since the manual wasn't complete, I also had an issue figuring that out. But I was able to figure this one out on my own. Let's say you go and add a new video. I'm going to do that right now just so that you can see a video clip, SD card, and I'll choose something cool. Yeah, there we go. Bingo. So we're loading a video, and this is loading in real time. So you're kind of seeing it right now. And this is a big file. It's 360 megabytes. So it's pretty big, I guess you could say. We've got to open up to our menu where we can choose what to do with it, chroma key and everything else. But this is where I want to show you. Now, the action tab is very important. This allows the video to start when you switch to it, or does it pause when you switch to it? So if you have a manual start on after you switch to that scene, you have to press play for it to start. I just prefer to auto start. Boom, save. Now, Kaboom box is right there. And now you may not know, but it's actually playing right now. We can see it right there and it's gonna play. So that action tab was very important. I was able to find it on my own just by going through everything. However, it did take a minute. Let's go on back to a couple other things that I think that you'll find interesting. SRT, Secure Reliable Transport, is becoming the best and the most efficient way to stream over RTMPS and other protocols. And it's built right in. In fact, you can stream using RTMPS, SRT, and you can stream, or record, I should say, in H.264 or H.265 codec on device at any particular time. That's quite a lot of fun right there. There's a few other things that I think are important to know. The audio that you're going to stream out of here will be stereo in 48K 16-bit. So if you're doing live productions on location for streaming, that's excellent. Make sure that your audio going into it is good. And the audio panel is absolutely amazing. We have true-to-life meters that work well, which I can gain to Unity directly with all of my other devices. So we have an audio interface with an extremely high-speed clock that actually synchronizes exactly like you would expect. That's awesome. That means that -18 or -12 decibels is the same across the board, just like you would expect. Having those segmented LEDs work with all different types of products because they're very similar processes, from the Tascam Model 12 to my Portacapture X8, using my Zoom H5. The ability to look and see simulated or real LED segments on a device that match up and can be set to unity gain very easily makes monitoring your audio much, much easier. On the same concept of audio, we've got some really great features with audio. We can choose audio follows video, which I never use, but some people might find important. I choose to have all of my audio come into one source and then stream using that. We can also mute each individual audio source. We can solo each individual audio source, and we can adjust each individual audio source separate to that of the program, which is great. So the master out, which is the program out, is separate from our monitor channel. And we can choose whether we're using Bluetooth 5 compatible devices or Bluetooth microphones, Bluetooth headsets, Bluetooth speakers. We can plug in a USB speaker. We can plug in a USB microphone. We can plug in a USB speaker. And we can choose all of those things in order to have an output for our audio, whichever we choose. And it's really great. So the most important part there is 48K 16-bit CD quality audio, a little bit better than CD quality audio actually. Sounds great, but for you on the mastering side, make sure that if you're going to do any further mastering than your live stream, that you're capturing in the highest resolution possible. So if you can capture in 24-bit 48K or 2496 or 32-bit, capture at those higher bit rates so that you can use the media separately on multi-purpose devices. You know, like just because you're streaming doesn't mean you won't use internal camera recordings and the internal audio recordings later. That's a pro tip. Use it wisely. There you go. Kaboom box right there. Hampton Roads cover band. Yeah, I love it. So another thing that I want to talk about right here has to do with exactly how we use the USB-A port. And when we think about all of the ports on here, we can do a lot with them. Guys, it's so much that we can do with them. You can hook up an external flash drive to record externally or load media on. You can actually change the different media destinations for where different things save to the flash drive, to the hard drive, to the SSD, whichever one that it is. You can use it as a modem. You can hook up a Wi-Fi dongle, a SIM card dongle, all those things, or a cellular dongle, all those things will connect directly, and then you'll be able to access them straight up here through the menu for all the different things that you've got. Check that out. Right? So if you ever need to access that stuff and set up your Wi-Fi, your network, your Bluetooth, your cellular, you've got it all right there, which is absolutely awesome when you think about the control. Now, other audio video devices will work. They're adding different devices to the list as compatibility comes through. But from what I have tested, everything from Elgatos to Wi-Fi dongles to my Netgear passports, things like that, to my SSD, USB-C SSD hard drives, they all work well and I really enjoy it. So there's a lot to love here. I guess the final thing that I want to talk about right now is that pan tilt zoom control. Realistically, this is a game changer. Now, when I talk about Talent as its own device, it is extremely powerful. And I've got to say it's excellent. I have been excited using it. I like the different buttons for record, photo, and stream. I enjoy the ability to choose what streaming resolution that I would like and encoding rate directly. I have a lot of control over that, and it's very simple. I like the ability to save and create shows that can be saved and come back to at another time. All of those things make it a wonderful, easy recommendation. However, it becomes an absolute powerhouse when you pair it with Tail Air. Now I've got 3 of these that I'm using with this. And Tail Air, this small, little, tiny device, about the third the size of my smallest camcorder, has such excellent image quality. The 4K 30 is great. And it pairs directly on the director's monitor with pan tilt zoom natively. Guys, it's a recipe for success. I want to paint a picture for you. There are many things you can spend your money on. If you wanted to start a live stream company, a live stream business, an $1,100 product like Talent is an absolute no-brainer. It's expensive. It's not the most expensive, but it is an expensive device. Never running out of power because you've got hot swappable NPF batteries. It's genius, right? Pairing that with at least 2 Tail Air and 1 mirrorless camera for less than $4,000, you could actually have a run and gun setup or a studio setup or a band stage, live band setup, or a wedding live stream setup that could make you money very quickly. I think that either one of these devices on their own has their own strengths, but together it's powerful. It really is. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'm just some guy with over 500 weddings, probably over 1,000 live streams that I've done at this point in time. I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm just a guy that recommends to you the products that I actually use, like in real life use. I got to use this. I absolutely love it. I'm just a guy that recommends to you things that I use to make me money. Don't believe me? Go to my website, roberthamphotography.com. 2 M's on ham. Check it out. Look at my work. You can see it there. I talk about these. Want to see more? Go to the YouTube channel. But most importantly, check out all the other videos out there about tail air. Check out all the other videos that are going to pop up about talent. And one thing that you're going to find is that both of these products, for me, they've worked great. This has been a lot of love for OBSBOT talent. And I know some of you aren't going to believe me. That's your loss. I'm sorry. I use it and it works well. And I'm excited for it, man. It's really awesome. So if you have any questions, don't forget to leave them in the comments down below. If you'd like to get one for yourself and you want to show your support, use the links that I provide below. That'd be great. But more importantly, if you have any questions and I can help you and you've made it to this far, comment on the video, you got it, and send me an email. We'll set up a phone call or conversate via emails, and I'll help you get set up with this or find out if another product's best for you. Okay? Guys, I'm Rob with Robert Ham Photography. I want to thank you so much for watching and remind you I will catch you on the flip side. Bye for now.